I'm gonna try to explain what maps versus um, trying to see the world more objectively. A map is like this. Say you design a city, and you have all these clothing stores, right? And you put and say you put some children's books in some of the clothing stores. Say a person walks into one of these particular store. That's what a map is. It is not. I'm not defining a map the way the dictionary defines it, where it's basically you have these landmarks. No, 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 no. This is this is basically more like um, it's like uh, if this person goes to here, then this is what they're. Even though it's not accurate, why is it with this not? Now the thing with maps is um, it keeps society afloat and prevents people from actually questioning things. Now, I've read a bunch of books and I've never had anybody, not a single author, has mentioned this concept. I've all I found somebody on YouTube years ago who've explained this idea. The videos are now removed; they're not on YouTube anymore. So I'm going to be discussing the idea of the maps. Um, a map is basically um, it basically is like a conversation starter so that people don't have to come up with it. However, it's also very limiting because um, it's basically designed for a certain type of person. It's basically it's a little bit like religion, except you have to understand that um, organized religion is actually not as religious as people think. In fact, I find that academia, particularly if there's a very large percentage of folks with iPhones in 2023, um, if there's a large percentage of students with iPhones, then you're dealing with a very religious environment. Not like officially religious. You get the sense that there's a certain, you know, convention, a certain practice, a certain set of, you know, basically, if you read the science fiction type dystopian knowledge, none of them really explain it. So, what is the true dystopian book that you should read? I actually don't have any recommendations particularly in mind. However, um, if I get to it, I might put it in the description. Anyway, so, hmm. So basically, a map is the way that I'm describing it is basically like um, person A walks to this area in this one store that basically indicates a certain thing, right? So these stores don't have just the functioning of having clothes that they're selling. There's also other metrics quite as well. Um, However, the problem is one of the reasons that certain things could not, like the thing is that I've observed of the reliance on these maps is that a lot of people cannot understand certain things. Certain things that can't be understood. Um, would it be, like, for example, it always baffles me how there's all these sweatshops, all these horrible things that's going on, and it's like the reason why these things keep happening is because of the reliance on the maps. It's like, um, so what would be, you know, so I actually think the word map is actually I should probably create my own word because it's actually I don't want to have to say the word maps in this type of because it really just sounds silly out of context, doesn't it? Anyway, because we're not talking about like like the map of the United States with all the landmarks. No, no, that is not what we're discussing. Um, However, what is so? if you have identified somebody who relies on this type of thinking, there are certain things that you would have. There's certain things that you would observe. First of all, you would observe that um, this type of person, like uses either or extremes often. So like dichotomy, basically, type of thinking. Um, which dichotomy is actually really easy to understand. The only problem is um, a certain type of dichotomy that is not so easy to understand, right? So let's see. But reliance on the maps is something that I've observed be quite frequent. Um, I've also realized that some police officers, they are arresting, criminals and such. And the police officers, some of them, they might realize that for the most part, the folks they're arresting tend to be, I don't know, like it just seems almost a surprise to them, you know. So that's because a lot of people were relying on the maps, and um, because of so because they're not like exactly observing what's happening. It's like the professor who I don't know the best example for this. Because give me. I'm just gonna borrow an example from the book I read. So basically, um, remember the book has written something about the economic crash at the end of George W. Bush's presidency, and it was caused by miscommunication among the um, the businessmen, I guess. And all these people were investing lots of money without actually observing what they're actually investing, something like that, and that caused the housing effect. It caused a bunch of people to um, have mortgage foreclosures, and it led to the great the recession. So something like that. Can't remember the example I was given because the book was actually written like in like 2009 or something. I don't know. So it was. It's not a recently printed book. So I can't think of any other examples. But that's actually a great example because a lot of people they blindly trusted, um, um, they blindly trusted. There was blind trust, and that caused the because a lot of people, they have these high paying jobs. Um, there's of course they get married, have kids. You don't really have much time for anything else, so they have these investments that they make, right? Um, have a mortgage on a house, like rather than just paying it all the whole thing up front, right? And it's like, however, it's not just housing; it's also stocks. So clearly, it was miscommunication that caused a lot of people. It was, like the book did not discuss the the Y2K crash or anything. However, it discussed the 2000 the anyway. Um, as of other examples, I actually don't have any in mind. However, it's like It's like you want to avoid whack-a-mole type of. You want to avoid whack-a-mole situations where, rather than coming up with a solution that will genuinely fix the problem, you just kick the can down the road. You want to avoid that. So, um, now I think that now the reason why these things keep happening I'm going to try to explain it with the idea that comes from a book that is written that's called The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. However, anyone who's read The Hobbit might understand, or you know, so it's basically the idea. Now I've never read The Hobbit, but I have read The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. So I actually never watched The Hobbit either. So, um, uh, but the the book The Time Machine is great. Um, so I haven't finished the book. However, it is a great book to read. So basically, um, it's basically the idea that there's the person goes to time machine and such and such, travel in the future, and basically he finds this group, this race of species that basically live underground, right? And if you live underground, um, um, such and such, it's like I mean, is it really that different than a man cave by any chance? Because there are basements. Um, all right, I got to